Hey guys, Howtoschooler or Jordan here. Today we're going to talk about something a little more serious. We're going to talk about bullying. Now I want to make a few serious videos, like maybe once a month along with my other videos. So if you like these at any time, drop a like, comment, subscribe, tell me your personal stories. I'm always here to help if you ever want to talk to someone or need advice with something like this. Basically, we're going to talk about like personal experiences with bullies, stuff you can do to kind of help get rid of them, and like the different types of bullies and what other people may be going through as a bully or as the victim. And whether we like to admit it or not, at one point in our life, we've all been the victim and we've all been the bully. Like, you may not realize it, you may not be conscious of it, but if you really think about it, just think back to some time you might have said something to someone and not known they were going through a bad time and just completely ruined their day with the smallest comment. Like, it could be something as silly as, "Oh, your shoes look like vomit." I don't fucking know. Like, honestly, there's so many things that can just really not help a person. Because you never know if someone has a family member in the hospital, or maybe they're going through something or battling depression. Like, there's a lot of things that go on, especially in teenagers, because that's a hard point in your life. And personally, I'm at a point in my life where I'm kind of realizing shitty things I've done to people and like shitty things people have done to me, and I'm trying to make amends. And I figured if I can help other people with that, that's great. Like, it's always good to change for the better. So there are basically two types of bullies. There's the clueless bully who kind of just says stuff and doesn't realize it, which is what most people are if they tend to be a bully. These are the people who kind of just, like, they might get caught up in the moment and be arguing with someone, or they might just have something against someone, and they're just kind of like, "Oh, well, you're a fuckboy." Hashtag word of the week. But, like, just something stupid like that, and really just ruin someone's day and make someone hate you for no reason over little things. And honestly, this is the easiest thing to fix, because, you don't realize what you're doing, and if you can realize and acknowledge it, a lot of the times the person will appreciate the fact that you're trying to make a change and make amends. And that's always something you want to do. These are the people who really genuinely aren't bad people. They're just, maybe they're pissed off with something themselves, and they're going through something, and they kind of lash out at other people. And I personally feel like that's something I've done a lot in the past, I'm trying to work on. And really, it's something everyone needs to work on. We as a society kind of need to be nicer in general. Like, there's so many bad things going on in the world. Why make it worse with silly little comments that are completely unnecessary? Like, if someone's already dealing with shit, why kind of go and make their day worse? It's really unnecessary, and I feel like it's something that can easily be fixed if we're conscious of it. So next, after the clueless bullies, there are the intentional bullies. These are, a lot of the times, like stereotypical alpha males, or like the girls who want to be popular and they just go and pick on other people, like just to look cool and bring other people down to boost their own appearance. A lot of times these are people who genuinely deep down have confidence issues, or maybe an issue at home, but it is no excuse for their actions. And whether or not, a lot of people have done this, sometimes it's to a worse degree, and sometimes it's kind of dialed back, but honestly, a lot of people have been this one too, and you can still change. Everyone can change. You're not a horrible person. You really need to stop. I mean, if you don't change, you might be a horrible person. I can't tell you for sure unless I met you. You might be a complete and total asshole. But, like, I've dealt with these kind of people. Like, honestly, a lot of the times the best way to deal with this is, because they're doing it for the popularity and there's other people around them, just act like it doesn't faze you. Like, don't play into it, because it's the reaction that they want. It's the reaction that boosts their social status by lowering yours. And, like, sometimes, like, one time, this kid used to pick on me all the time in the 9th grade, and I guess he lost his virginity to a slut, because he called me a virgin across the lunchroom one day, and I just looked at him, I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. We're pretty young. Like, that's good for you, bro." And that's the last I ever heard from him, to be completely honest, because his friends started to laugh at him. So that's always something you can do. I don't recommend being a smartass. Sometimes it's what you need to do. Sometimes you do need to stand up for yourself, but there's also times where you can play it safe and just kind of, even if it does bother you, like, don't let them know. Like, tell a friend later, and if it's a serious issue, like, you can confront it if it doesn't stop. Now, that sort of thing doesn't always work, because sometimes it gets them frustrated, and they'll do something like threaten to fight you. And there's a few ways you can handle that. Like, something like that happened to me freshman year. A kid was making fun of me, and I played into it. I was like, I'm not bad at baseball, even though I was. And he ended up hooking me in the jaw twice. But I didn't punch back, although I did say I'd fight him. But I ended up not hitting him at all. And he looked stupid in front of the girl he liked, so he did stop. But, if you can settle things without getting hurt. If someone does threaten you physically, though, I honestly recommend to if you're in school, go to a guidance counselor. If it's at work, go to human resources, something like that. Because I've also dealt with people at work. I work at a fast food restaurant, and honestly, I love everyone that works there. Like, it is like a tiny family. I do genuinely enjoy their company. But there are people who just say mean things, like it's not just at work. I get called feminine a lot. That's something I've really dealt with my whole life. I think it's because I was a vegetarian for 17 years. I just started eating meat this year. And so I'm a pretty skinny dude, and that's just something I've dealt with my whole life. And honestly, yeah, it gets to me, but I talk to it with people close to me. And that's another thing. If something really bugs you, and you don't want to say something to that person, like, friends are your best resource. And honestly, if it's really bad, counseling, there's nothing wrong with it. I've been to a counselor for issues. Like, they can help. But I do recommend going to friends first. And so with stuff like that, like, honestly, don't let it bug you, man. Like, if people are bringing you down, it's normally not true. They're just saying that because they feel a little bit bad about themselves. And just stuff like that. And sometimes people like that are flirting with you, and it's just weird. And some people will honestly just be like that until you say something to them. Like, I have one person who said some stuff like that to me. I was like, hey, I don't appreciate it. I know you don't mean it like that. Because this was one of the clueless people. Like, I know that's your personality. I don't appreciate it. And they kind of took it and respected that I said something and kind of stopped. And it's always good if you're in a situation like that with a clueless bully and you want to say something like that to him. Don't get angry or worked up. Like, try to keep it light and be like, hey, man, I don't like that. Like, that's not nice, bro. And, like, a lot of people respect that and realize they're doing something wrong. That's one of the things you can do with clueless bullies. And, like, never let it get to the point where you're just going through, like, these horrible mood swings and depression because people are saying stuff like that to you. Like, I have a lot of friends who have been through that. I have friends who are currently going through that. I try my best to help them, and they don't want to try anymore. Which, honestly, I'll talk a little bit more about that in another video. I want to do a video about, like, not giving up and going through depression, anything like that. But, if you're being bullied, try not to let it get through you. Like, I've been through a lot of situations with that stuff in my life, and it's kind of given me a little bit of anxiety over the years, but that's something I cope with. Like, I have ADD, and I get made fun of that for work. Like, that's crazy. Like, people will be like, well, he says, oh, yeah, I remember. And, like, stuff that you can't help. Like, why the fuck are people picking on you for that? Like, that is so pointless. And, I mean, on another note, like, I've been the bully too. Like, I've called people horrible things and have just done mean things in spite of people. Like, I have a friend who I used to argue with over just the stupidest shit, and the arguments came out of nowhere, and we'd be horrible to each other and talk shit behind each other's backs and just made fun of each other, and it was completely pointless. And I'm glad I made up with him, because he was like my best friend for a while, and like, at this point, like, we've made up and we're good friends again. And so if you ever go through something like that, like a falling out with a friend or anything like that, like, don't give up on a friendship. Like, friends are one of the best things you have in this world. They're like one of the best resources. Not to think of it like that, but like, it's just always good to know people, whether it's like one or two close friends or like a whole entire group of friends. Like, try to find somewhere you fit in and belong. And I think that's one way you can really increase your happiness and kind of solve a lot of these issues. So, I hope you liked this video. If you did at any time, drop a like, comment, subscribe. And, let's make a difference. Let's try to be nice to someone tomorrow. Like, whether it's just something like, hey bro, I like that shirt, or, making up with someone you've been mean to. Let's make a difference today. Like, I think that's something we can do, right? So yeah, that's everything I got for today. Leave me your suggestions. I do want to hear what you guys want to hear. Maybe some new games, maybe some other stuff. And keep on keeping on. Peace.